This week on List Rate Rank.
My dad, he said if you're looking for sympathy, you could find it in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. So,
on List Rate Rank, our hosts research various topics and each bring their own top 5 list to the show. Together they debate, discuss, and deliberate, and with the help of an expert, one definitive and indisputable top 5 list is created.
That's a good list. I think we've inspired millions of people just now.
I think so too.
This is List Rate Rank.
Welcome to List Rate Rank. I am David Fedor.
And I am Felicia Gillespie.
And today we're talking about adversity. Let's get deep. Let's overcome some struggles and setbacks. We're getting into motivational speaker stuff here. Reach for the stars, Felicia. Don't give up.
I'm so ready. I'm in the stars. I'm in the stars right now. I have a whole sack of stars.
That's one of the most beautiful things I know is shoot for the moon. And in case you miss, you're still amongst the stars. That's another one. That's a free motivational overcome adversity quote for you, Felicia.
It's been, painted on the halls of every high school in the nation.
So I have a feeling you're going to groan and laugh at a lot of my cheesy motivational shit today.
I will not. I am so into this topic. It's ridiculous. This is not true, but I've been through a lot of adversity. People don't think so because of the way I look, but sometimes that makes it harder to do things.
Well, I hope that over the course of this next hour, we reflect a little bit on your deepest and darkest times, or not at all. You don't have to use your real life experiences at all.
We're going to. My entire list, I did no research because my entire list is all from personal experience.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Okay. Well, it is a timely topic. You are right, because not only yourself, not only myself, but millions of people in the year 2020 are going through some adversity. Am I right?
Absolutely.
That's my little stand-up thing for you. Oh, man, 2020, am I right?
What's the deal with 2020?
But yeah, we got the political unrest, we got the racial unrest, we got the gender unrest. We have, on top of all of that, we have a pandemic. So a lot of people are going through some adversity right now. So listen to our podcast, get some hope. There are ways to get through it. Felicia and I will guide you. And after the break, we're also going to be joined by author and success coach Brian P. Swift. He's got an amazing story of how he's overcome his adversities. But Felicia, first, we need to go through our list. So what do you say we get down to it?
I'm so ready.
All right. Earlier today, Felicia, you and I had a watermelon carving competition, and I was deemed the winner. So I get to go first because the judges loved my rendition of a jack-o'-lantern in a watermelon.
Yeah, my watermelon just had a knife hanging out of the side of it. So very uncreative.
Or too creative. We don't know. So our judges still like mine more. So I will go first. So we're going to go a little different format. We're going to go all 5 straight back and forth. And then when we get to the rank round or the rate round, we'll pare this down.
Joke is ridiculous.
Which one?
Too creative. I don't know why. That's just so funny to me.
Awesome. You're welcome. All right. So here is my top 5 ways to overcome adversity. Number 5, exercise. Get some blood flowing to your muscles, your brain. Number 4, cheat. Get an advantage by any means necessary. Number 3, a good sense of humor. They say laughter is the best medicine. A sense of humor might help you out. Number 2, ask for help. Rely on some others that can help you out. And my number one way to overcome adversity, get over it. Just accept it, get over yourself, move on. So those are my top 5. Felicia, what do you got?
My top 5. Number 5, have an attitude of gratitude. Number 4. It rhymes. Yeah. Number 4, stay healthy. Number 3, quit. Number 2, adopt the mantra, nothing is permanent. And number 1, channel the pain and suffering into productivity.
Nice. That is a fabulous list. I can't wait to expound upon those a little bit more.
I can't believe that I didn't write have a sense of humor. What is this? I just don't, as a stand-up comedian, we just take things way too seriously. We forget. So, yeah, I'm just like, wow, sense of humor. Okay. Should have written that down for sure.
Yeah, probably. But what's beautiful about these lists, a lot of it is, interconnected. You don't have to just stick with one. The sense of humor could blend in with the positive attitude and that whole nonsense. You could stay positive while also cheating your ass off.
I guess so.
All right, so that is our top 10. We need to get that top 10 down to 5. So let's go to the rate round. Both of our number ones get there, so accept it and move on for my list makes it, and turning pain into productivity off of your list goes into the top 5 as well. That means we have 8 other items left over that we have to whittle down into 3. So let's start making a case for our things now.
Okay.
I want to take a look. You mentioned sense of humor. Let's take a look at how a sense of humor can benefit you in times of crisis to overcome that adversity. They do say laughter is the best medicine. That is more than just a saying. It actually releases endorphins and dopamine into your body. The smiling process and things like that actually has a chemical reaction in your body that could help you out. So there's a movement now also with laughter therapy. Have you seen any of this?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a yoga class, but while people are stretching, they're like maniacally laughing. So Felicia, I wanted to ask you right now if you would do some laughter therapy with me.
I will never do laughter therapy with you ever, David. I'm so sorry.
Just right now.
No. Absolutely not. You cannot pay me to go into a room and laugh the energy out of my body without any, what is the word I'm looking for? Stimulus that will make it happen naturally. I'm just a very genuine person. So, something needs to happen, like, the instructor's pants need to drop accidentally, or, I don't know.
So you want Patch Adams? You want Patch Adams to come in and make you laugh?
I do. I want Patch. I want the red nose.
Come on, just do it once. Just
It's too cultish for me.
All right, fine.
Weird.
What do you propose? What's next?
Quit. Just quit and give up. That's my number 3. Is quit. And when I say quit, by the way, what I really mean is just develop boundaries, okay? Drop what no longer serves you. Cut ties with people or places that start to make you sick and that are draining your life source because you're not getting a return on your investment. And this doesn't mean to quit your goals. It just means quit your circumstances, right? I was in a city where I really wanted a comedy club to adopt me, and I wanted this club to be my home club. I'd never had that before. I always saw these comics who, a manager would push this comic to other clubs and really invest in them. And I wanted that for myself, and it wasn't working. And I knew I was good enough to be adopted by. I was like, be my comedy mom. Okay. And put so much into it, was patient, did everything I could. But at the end of the day, it was like, you know what? This isn't totally about me. It's not totally about if I'm not good enough. There are a million other reasons and things going on for why I'm not getting what I want right now. And it was also a really unhealthy environment. And, a lot of other people were going through the same thing as me. So I didn't quit comedy, but I quit that place. And I'm like, you know what? When it gets to the point where it's draining on me and I learned as much as I could there. same thing with workout regimens. If you want to lose weight, if you're trying and you're trying all these different diets, too much.
I appreciate you trying to sell this, but I can't accept it for the top 5 because this podcast is not ways to quit your adversity. This is ways to overcome your adversity. Now, it might be socially acceptable or healthy to quit a bad environment, but damn it, if we're going to come here and smash adversity in the mouth, I don't want any chicken shit run the other way advice.
You'd rather cheat, right?
I'd rather cheat. So now hear me out. I watch a lot of wrestling, okay? And there's good guys and bad guys, right? So one of the tropes, classic tropes in wrestling is the bad guys cheat. Every time the referee looks the other way, if they got to grab, some extra tights on a pinfall or put their feet on the rope, or they have a manager outside that slips some brass knuckles or something like that. If you got to get the job done, you got to get the job done. So there's a classic saying by Jesse Ventura, and also Classy Freddie Blassie said it as well. Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat.
That is beyond my morals and values. I can't do that. I'd rather just, no, I can't. You're not playing by any rules. What does it get you really?
Championship belts. Cheaters do win championship belts.
They don't count. There's an asterisk beside those belts. Okay.
Okay, fine. I'll take cheat out, but I'm not giving you quit.
Okay. Okay. Well, I would rather, instead of cheat, I would rather stand there with a cheater and knowing that they're cheating and going, you know what? Nothing is permanent. And just repeat that over and over. This guy's not going to win forever. He's not going to get away with cheating forever. He's going to get caught.
Somebody's
it's not going to last.
Comeuppance.
Yes. And then I will be the winner and I will do it the right way.
So nothing is permanent. That's a positive mindset. That's taking and realizing that pain is only temporary, that nothing is permanent. That's good advice. I could see that.
Yeah, it's a mindset for stamina. It's a mindset to just keep going and not let it wear on you, and to know, and it is true. It's 100% true. Nothing really is permanent. So I had to, think of that all the time when I wasn't getting my way and I wasn't meeting my goals. And, the external circumstances aren't permanent. My internal circumstances aren't permanent. My skill level isn't permanent. You might have something permanent there, like a boss who's a dick who will never stop being a dick, or, somebody dealing with somebody with a personality disorder. These things will never change, but external circumstances change all the time. So something is bound to happen eventually. And
that is true.
You can wait it out.
I'll give you nothing is permanent because it encompasses all that other great advice, all those great sayings like attitude for gratitude or whatever the hell you said earlier. When I was a kid, I had pretty bad separation anxiety. There was maybe a good 6 months to a year where I think my mom was like going back to work or something, and it was difficult for me. And my mantra was PMA all the way, positive mental attitude, baby. That was the thing that I repeated to myself to get myself through it. So yeah, positive mental attitude. Attitude is gratitude. Nothing is permanent. Okay, we could have some of those sayings. I'll let that go into our top 5.
Okay. All right.
Now I want to also make an appeal for my number 2, which is ask for help.
Yes.
I think it's a very smart thing to do. Nothing shameful about not being able to do it yourself. You have to rely on other people who could help you. They might be better at the thing that you are, or have done it before and know easier ways. I come from, you come from your stand-up background. I come from my improv background. Improv comedy is all about making your scene partner look good and supporting the team. A rising tide lifts all ships. Other metaphor that means great things.
I agree with you. This is an easy agreement. Ask for help is good. It shows vulnerability. You have to be open-minded. You have to drop your ego in order to do it. Which is, a person who's in a good mental state to learn. Yeah, that's an easy one. I agree. I'm in. I'm down for that.
All right. So
that's 4 items right there.
That's 4
right?
right there.
But we did have a repeat one, which was exercise and stay healthy.
I think you're right. I was going to loop back to that. If we have one that's on each other's lists, that I think maybe that needs to go in there, because they go hand in hand. Being healthy and exercising, it's pretty much the same thing. Eating healthy, much like laughing and sense of humor releases that as endorphins and dopamine and all that other stuff. Exercising gets the same way to help you clear your mind, become your best self. Being physically fit and mentally fit sometimes go hand in hand. I know personally I've been biking a lot lately. I know you like to cycle. I keep saying biking, but I think that might also be confused for going out on a motorcycle.
Yes.
So I cycle. That sounds weird too. Regardless, I feel great. I feel so good since I've been doing it. I think I like cycling so much, I might want to take up motorcycling.
Yeah, I throw in meditation in there. Develop a meditation practice, because if you're going through adversity, that is a war. You need strength for battles, which would be physical exercise and diet, and you need stamina for wars, which is mental. And it stops rumination. It helps you step back from your emotions that come up: anger, frustration, everything you're going through, sadness, depression, whatever. I would definitely advise throwing meditation in with the staying healthy part.
Yep. Exercise healthy. We'll add that, since we did both have it on our list. Since you had it ranked as number 4, it was my number 5. You will get the points going towards our end of this episode to see who wins.
Okay.
So that's going to be our top 5 list.
That's a good list. I think we've inspired millions of people just now.
I think so too. So to recap, our top 5 list that we're going to be taking to our guest expert of ways to overcome adversity in no particular order: accepting it and moving on, turning your pain into productivity, having a mindset to know that nothing is permanent, asking for help, and exercising and being healthy, both physically and mentally.
Yes. Excellent.
Awesome. Well, after the break, we will be joined by Brian P. Swift, motivational speaker and author. So stick around.
Hey everybody, this is Jeff, the host of Stuff I Never Knew Trivia Game Show podcast. Each week, 3 players from around the world call in and battle it out over 3 rounds of trivia. Each week there's a new show. You'll meet new people from around the world. We have over 80 episodes. We're in season 4. That's the Stuff I Never Knew Trivia Game Show podcast, available everywhere you listen to podcasts. That's StuffINeverKnew.com, StuffINeverKnew.com, that's StuffINeverKnew.com.
All right, welcome back. Brian Swift is a success coach, author, and motivational speaker who has faced tremendous obstacles and thrived all the way through them. He believes that everyone is capable of success, and that's why he has spent over 30 years developing hundreds of successful leaders. His latest book, The Quadfather, explores the various mental and behavioral practices for building the grit and character needed to achieve the unthinkable. And today, he is our guest expert on how to overcome adversity. Brian, welcome to List Rate Rank.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Thank you very much. Tell us a little bit about your story, because you have a very unique story you have reflected on in your speeches, in your talks, and in your books. Tell us about how you have overcome your adversity.
Sure. Well, day after Christmas in 1979, I was out with my friends playing football, something I've done my whole life, just at the park, no equipment. And I got tackled from behind and never got up again. So it wasn't something traumatic. I didn't get hit hard. I didn't fall on my head. I didn't fall on my neck. Nobody hit my neck. It was just a simple tackle for whatever reason. Broke C5 and C6 vertebrae, and started my life as a quad at the age of 17, senior year of high school. So that's how the injury happened. It was just that quick. I don't want to say that simple, but really that's the crux of it. So from there, it was just move forward.
So to explain to our listeners about what being a quadriplegic is.
So at first, I couldn't move anything from my neck down. And the quad means 4 limbs are affected. Now, believe it or not, there are some people that are up walking and they're considered quads because maybe they can't move a finger on one hand, maybe they don't have a lot of dexterity on the other, maybe they have drop foot. So you could say somebody's a quad, and it could be such a wide range. But for me, it was I couldn't move anything from my neck down. It was some breaks are complete, which means the entire spinal cord is severed. Some are not complete, which means they really don't know how much movement you'll get back. Mine was complete. With every break comes different circumstances. Obviously, we've come a long way since 1979. They also have to wait till the swelling goes down to see what, if anything, you'll get back. So when it happened to me at first, I was 190 pounds, probably around 6 foot, very athletic. And within a month, probably dropped down to 150 pounds for a lot of reasons. I mean, you have somebody else feeding you. You're barely eating for 2 weeks because you're in and out of surgery and an ICU, and obviously just laying there, your nutrition level is different. So I went from being totally active, playing football, basketball, baseball, doing all things 17-year-olds do, to basically, now having to depend on everybody for everything. And it's not just what you see that's affected. So being a quad also means you can't control your bladder, you can't control your bowels, your lung function is affected, your breathing's affected, but you learn to manage it. So that's what a quadriplegic is.
And then not to dwell on that incident, but it's interesting for people to get a scope of where you came from and what you're doing now. You said C5 and C6 vertebrae?
Yes.
That's neck, right?
Yeah, that's high up on the neck. Like Christopher Reeves, I think, was C2. So you get C1 through C7, and then you go into the L's, which is lumbar, which is your back. So mine is very high up on the neck.
And so take me through those first couple months, years, when you went from 17-year-old, like you said, senior in high school, to basically somebody caring for you 24/7. That's got to be obviously unfathomably hard.
I come from an interesting background, very old school parents, Irish Catholic. My mom's the faith side, my dad's the bottom line, move forward side. So it was an interesting combination, to say the least. And you're kind of this. It is what it is. I mean, all of a sudden you have to rely on people, and you're not thinking long term. I don't think at first. You're just wondering, are you going to get through the day? Are you going to get through the night? I had the whole brace on that they screw into your head, and you're not even thinking long term. I mean, you're just overwhelmed, I think, and inundated with learning the routine of this new lifestyle. So I spent 3.5 months at which was called RIC, Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago, which is now the Shirley Ryan Institute. One of the most famous rehabilitation facilities, and I spent 3.5 months there. Going to school, physical therapy, occupational therapy, all different types of therapy, just to see how far they can get you before they release you. I got released on I didn't want to come home in an electric wheelchair. I think everybody hopes they'll walk, but one of my goals was to be able to push myself, at least not have an electric wheelchair. So that was one of my goals. Got out of the rehab on a Friday. On Monday, I went back to high school. finished up high school, graduated on time. There was just no stopping.
Oh, wow.
My dad had built, basically a gym in the garage. It was get up, go to school, come home, therapy. At first I could push myself down to the driveway, up and down the driveway, then to the corner, then, to the long corner, then around the block. And then, I just kept pushing. And my dad's one of those, it just was different. It's hard. He gave tough love when most people wouldn't have. I guess the best way to describe him is, it might have been a month or two after I got home, and maybe I was not in the best of spirits. But he said, if you're looking for sympathy, you can find it in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. So gives you an idea of there wasn't a lot of hand holding going on.
Yeah.
Like, get up, get your life together, just keep moving forward, move forward, do more, push yourself, challenge yourself, stay busy, go to school. I wasn't going to be in the trades. Go to school. So I did that. I took a summer class at a junior college. I finished junior college in 2 years, still was dating, still did tons of stuff with my friends. I was blessed to have an awesome friendship with 4 guys that I'm still friends with 40 years later. And I just moved forward. I graduated junior college in 2 years, learned how to drive, went on to St. Xavier University. I finished that in 2 years. So now I had my bachelor's degree. While I was there, at some little old nun got an idea that I should go further. I'm first generation college, let alone anything more than that. So she decided I should try to be a lawyer. For some reason, she thought I was intelligent. I'm just a simple guy and whatnot. And I ended up going to law school. I ended up graduating from law school 4 years later, and just kept my life moving forward. Learned how to drive, got a job out of law school, worked for a law firm for a couple of years, got married, kept moving forward. So
that's awesome. Well, tell me about how that segued into what you're doing now, which is going around and being a speaker and a motivational coach.
Sure.
And an author, because I want to hear about the Quadfather. It's I've seen the pictures. You got the new book out. It's you kind of like the Godfather, but it's the Quadfather. Tell me about that.
So I worked in the law field for 2 years. Then I went into corporate sales and training, and I spent probably 20 something odd years in corporate. Work every day getting up. My routine was up at 5, out of the house at 6, to work at 7. I wouldn't get home till probably 6 at night. I'd take off my suit and tie, put on a shirt, and I went and I coached football for 20 years and basketball. So from 6:15 when I got there to 8 o'clock, I was coaching. I'd come home, eat, start the routine again. So that was the routine. So after about, through that time, some personal goals I had was wanted to start a nonprofit. I wanted to write books. I wanted to do more because I love the motivation part of what I did in the corporate world. Is I got, I played wheelchair sports. I stayed crazy busy. When I got out of corporate, we started a nonprofit called SOAR, Swift Outdoor Accessible Recreation. What we do with SOAR is we empower and help people get back outdoors. So being outdoors is so medicating. You've ever seen somebody unhappy by a bonfire with a beer in their hand? Rare. So the more we can get people outdoors, the happier people tend to be. And there are legit, you hear a cabin fever, there are legit syndromes of staying in the house too long.
And especially nothing's more truer than 2020 with be outdoors.
Wow. No, I've said, and not to say, COVID, the frustration, the angst, every emotion, negative emotion you felt with COVID, but it might give you a hint of what being in a wheelchair is like and having parameters imposed upon you. It's frustrating. And everybody has a right to be frustrated. Hopefully it taught us all a lot about ourselves. And like the rest of life, you learn to overcome, adapt, adjust, figure it out. How many times have we all said, if I only had more time, I would? Mm-hmm. As I told people, well, We all got our wish. So we have lots of time on our hands. What were those I would if you had more time?
Hey, one of mine was resurrect illustrated rank. So look at me now.
Okay, there you go. But exactly. But you did something with it. I mean, and that's the way I am. I have to stay busy. That is for me. That's mental therapy. So we started a nonprofit. We offer grants and equipment to get people outdoors. So whether that's to help them buy a hand cycle, a therapeutic trike, a freewheel, equipment, exercise equipment, stuff insurance doesn't cover, which is anything that's not a medical necessity, which is pretty much you're fighting for almost everything, is expensive. And we want to continue to help people get outdoors. So I've always had a love and a passion for fishing or hunting or walking the trails or riding bikes with your kids or just getting out and sitting by a bonfire and enjoying the beverage of your choice. So that's what we do. And years ago, people would say, I have a van that I drive and the doors open electronically. And, I come from a family of teachers and people would be like, would you want to come up and talk to the kids about adversity? Show them your van. Come up and talk. And that kind of started. And it started before that because when I was in corporate, they would have me host our big company conventions. I would MC them. I think the reason they let me MC them was I would push the bounds of decency just enough so everybody had fun. And who's going to get mad at the guy in the wheelchair anyway? And so I got comfortable speaking and I got comfortable doing stuff like that. So, it started just going up to the grammar schools. And then, I had a niece who, I told her class, she was in physical therapy program. And they asked me if I'd want to come up and speak and, they pay me. And then I was like, yeah, I mean, you're paying me to do something I probably would have done for free. Giddy up, even better. And then I started speaking at other schools and colleges and athletic events and then becoming a keynote speaker. And one of the other things I want to do was write a book. So 5 years ago, I shattered both my femurs, which laid me up in a hospital bed for 4 months. I wish I had a good story. I don't have a good story around it. I can't even make up a good story. And I am a great bullshitter and I can't even, I fell out of my wheelchair and I could throw myself out of the wheelchair, go to a concert, throw myself in. It just over time, my bones got shattered and I fell and my legs got caught up under me. No good story, just whatever. So I had to lay in bed for 4 months because they couldn't cast them because they were worried about pressure sores. So I had to lay in bed and that's when I decided to write my book and get it published. And I was blessed that a little publishing company out of Colorado picked up my book and published my first book. So that's kind of how all that morphed. And then last year was my 40th year in a wheelchair. So I figured after 40 years of thriving, I celebrated being married 31 years, got 3 amazing kids. I am blessed in so many ways.
So what is the origin story of the Quadfather?
I kind of got to a point where I was tired of listening to people with disabilities tell me all the reasons they can't. When I wake up every day, figure out all the ways to figure out how I can, I go to bed thinking of more things I can try to do and fail at or not fail at or attempt. And so I was looking at how do I brand myself? Because I really never branded myself. Swifty, the guy in the wheelchair, was having another book signing or whatever. And the Quadfather, it's about time. Because all of a sudden, man, I don't even know why. I'm going to write a book called The Quadfather. And I'm going to address every complaint and every excuse I've ever heard from somebody with a disability on why they can't. So the Quadfather is a unapologetic, kind of tough love book on, I'm in pain, so I can't do this today. Okay, suck it up, Buttercup. Everybody's in pain with something. The more you focus on something else, and here are some things I do. When I'm in pain, I don't have a pain pump. I don't take medicine because I can't feel anything below my chest. Now, sometimes I feel like I got to have leg cramps, but it's not pain, it's discomfort. Now, I know I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV, but I'm just a common sense guy, and I know you could have phantom pain. Well, if you can have phantom pain, you can have phantom pleasure. So figure out how to turn your phantom pain into phantom pleasure and get your ass outside and get moving with life. Go thrive. So that's the way it is. And people could say, your circumstances are different. I don't have money. I didn't come from money. I didn't end up walking. I can't move my hands. I'm your atypical quad. I just decided not to stop and quit. I decided I didn't want to be a statistic. I'm a C5, C6 quad. This is what your life should be. You should be able to do this, this, and this. Go sell pencils on the corner if you want to make money. Go do this, this, and that. I stopped listening. So, some people, the whole thing, it depends how you look at life. The glass is half full or half empty, right? Mm-hmm. Depends how you look at it. My philosophy is, don't forget, you can always refill the glass. So I just approach things differently.
That's awesome. And it seems like those lessons your dad taught you right at the very beginning when the incident happened, to get out, find a way, it's instilled in you from that moment forward, and that's how you're coaching and teaching now.
Yeah, even an earlier incident was, just a story about my dad. So I started to be able to move my arms. So I could get my hand up maybe this high. I could barely feed myself. I couldn't, I had a fork that was on a device where I could barely get my hand up in my mouth. So one day he brings up one of my mitts, tapes it to my hand, goes down the hall about 20 yards and pulls out like 3 rubber balls. And he whips the first one at me, and, it zips by my head, and I'm trying to get my glove up, and all of a sudden there's a couple nurses, and they're like, he can't catch a ball. And my dad's like, oh, if he doesn't want to end up, catching it with his head, he'll get his head up. Next one, like right off my forehead. Next one, I at least hit the glove. Next one, I got the glove. That just was him. My dad is my dad. God bless him. He's still alive, but he's a different bird. And that was his way of dealing with it. Most parents wouldn't try that crazy approach.
And I'm sure in 1979 and 1980, those were a little bit more lenient.
A little different, yes.
Awesome. Well, we need to move forward. As much as I would love to hear more and more stories, I'll buy the books for those stories. But the reason we asked you here today was to be our guest expert on ways to overcome adversity. So Felicia and I compiled our top 5 list. We're going to present that to you now.
I look forward to hearing them.
Okay, here is our top 5 in no particular order. We have getting exercise, both physically and mentally, asking for help, reminding yourself that nothing is permanent, turning pain into productivity, and accepting it and moving on.
Those are good. Those are good.
The way that we rank these here, we're going to rank them 5 to 1, and then we'll get point values. Some of these are Felicia's, some of them are mine. Whatever one of us has more points at the end of our cycle wins the episode. So what will be your number 5 from that list?
I would say pain into productivity would be 1.
That would be number 1 as in the best, or the first?
Best.
Pain into productivity is number 1. Okay.
Exercise would be number 2.
Asking for help
would be number 3.
And then we have accepting it, moving on, and mentally preparing yourself.
Mentally preparing for it would be.
Yeah, nothing.
You know what?
Permanent.
That would be 3.
Nothing is permanent is 3.
Put mentally preparing would be 3. I'm going to change my 3.
So asking for help will be 4.
5. That'll be 5.
That'll be 5. So number 4 is accepting it, moving on.
Yes.
All right. Well, congratulations, Felicia. You had the top 3, and I had the basement of the bottom 2.
Woo! Yeah, the accepting it, moving on is definitely a journey. It's not something you do right away. And I don't know if I've ever accepted it. Mm-hmm. I just put it so far behind me, kind of it is what it is. And maybe that is accepting it, but I just try to stay so busy. I think it's been harder for me to accept 30 years later than it was the first 10 years.
Wow.
Now that's just me. So,
yeah. So that helps us with processing our list. How about now we could look to you as the expert to schooling us as to what some of the top 5 ways to overcome adversity actually is.
My first one was having faith. Not about religion, just for me. And people might find this interesting. I have never asked God to walk again. I've never asked him to heal my spinal cord, to make me get up one day and walk. I've never asked that. The only thing I've asked him is to give me the strength and wisdom and courage to deal whatever's put in front of me. That's all I've ever asked for. And I think you've got to have some faith that life will be okay, whether that be in a wheelchair, in a rocking chair, walking, crawling, stumbling, bumbling, whatever. You've got to have some type of faith that you'll be okay, just keep moving forward. So that was my number one. My second was goals, or a game plan, as I call them. I think, every day, whether you're disabled, whether you're overcoming adversity, whether you're trying to reach a new level, you need certain goals and a game plan. Without that, it's kind of like getting up and saying we're going on vacation and not knowing, hopping in the car and driving, okay, where, when, how do we get there? So I think goals and a game plan are important, even if they're tiny. I don't care how tiny they are. It doesn't be, and actually the tiny or micro goals you have, they say sometimes it's easier because they're not stretched out too far. So, but I think you need goals. I think you have to have my goal was to, get down to the corner, push myself to the corner before the end of the week. Then it was around the block by Wednesday. Then it was, so those type of goals, I want to drive as soon as I could do this and that. So, and then therapy and exercise, I call it, whether you want to call it therapy, whether you want to call it exercise. It's a medical fact. Therapy and exercise release things like dopamine and other things that make you feel better, that help with pain, that create an outlet for frustration. So I think you need to have therapy and exercise. I don't care if you got nothing. I don't care if you have nothing wrong with you, or you're overcoming being a whatever it is. You've got to have some type of therapy or exercise in your life. It just doesn't mean you got to lift 10,000 pounds. I don't care if it's just bands. I don't care if it's dumbbells. I don't care if it's riding in your wheelchair. You've got to have a routine with that. For me, then eventually it was a purpose. I needed something bigger than me to be involved with. And I think that's why I started coaching. And I'm calling it purpose. But I needed something bigger than just concentrating on me all the time. Like my therapy, I needed something bigger than me. So I call it purpose. That might be a job. That might be volunteering. But I think people need purpose in life. They need a reason.
And that's your number 4?
Yes.
Okay.
And then self-care / assistance, like you need to ask for help. Nobody does it alone. No, nobody can do anything alone. I would not be here if it didn't start with my mom and dad. And I would not be here if it wasn't for my sisters and my friends. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my wife and my kids. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my faith and for me feeling that I got help from a greater source than the people around me. So, that self-care and assistance, you've got to accept it, because Michael Jordan had a coach, right? And Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player, had a coach. You can keep going down the line and look at all the greats. Guess what? They had coaches. They didn't do it alone. As great as they were, they still had coaches. And some people got to get over that and not feel like they're a burden, or they want to do, I want to be so independent, I don't want help. That's great, but nobody does it alone. That's my feeling. So
awesome. Those are great, very informative, and something to aspire to in terms of somebody looking to overcome adversity, whether that's, like you said, moving in, walking again, just trying to deal with 2020 in general.
Exactly.
I need to ask you, what did your dad, was there something about his career that made him be that way, or that was just his personality naturally?
That was just his personality. Yeah. He worked for the Chicago Park District. He was around kids and adult. I mean, he wasn't a hardcore guy, but that's how he dealt with it. I think he needed to deal with it that way. Another quick story, and I know we don't got a lot of time. I was only in the rehab a month. So my birthday's in January. So I broke my neck the day after Christmas. I'm turning 18. I'm sitting in the rehab. Not where you want to be at 18. He came up to visit me, took off his overcoat, came over. I was probably in a pissy mood, I'm assuming. We talked for about 5 minutes, and he got up, walked over, grabbed his coat, came back. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm not going to sit here while you whine and complain. He said, if I ever come up here again and you're not in a good mood, I'm leaving. He goes, it is your job to keep the family up. It is your job to wear a smile on your face, because this family will go as you go. If you're happy, we can deal with this. At the age of 17, I knew I had to carry my family, and I had to be happy, and I had to keep moving forward, because I didn't want to see my family suffer because of me. And that is 100% true story.
Yeah, that's a really, that's a great father. And it's really good that you can carry on that legacy, because I don't think that happens enough. I don't think there are enough stories like that. I think these days people probably are too sensitive. I sound like an old man right now, but I respect that kind of stuff.
No, we're coddling, and we're babying, and we need a little, it's tough love. We need tough love again. I mean, so.
Very cool. Very cool. Where can listeners of our show find out more information about your efforts online or social media?
In terms of books, you could go to Amazon. I have a website, brianpswift.com. You could go to our nonprofit website that also sells the books, talks about speaking, which is soarnonprofit.com, SOAR nonprofit.com. Or like I said, Brian, BRIANP Swift.com. So those two places, my books sell at Amazon. That's where most people end up getting them. I think Barnes & Noble. People want to reach out to me and get a signed copy. All my contact information is on those two websites. And
we'll definitely provide the links and everything on our website and on the description of this episode as well. Brian, thank you so much for taking time today and talking with us about your story and the ways that people can overcome their own personal adversity. Thanks for having me. I enjoy it. If there's any other things, topics, conversations you'd like to have, ring me up. I will. Email. I would love to be a part of more of these things. Yeah, absolutely. Once we could get out on the road, we're going to stop by and have a beer by the fire. How about that? Giddy up. I got a big pit, and I guarantee I could fill your glass with something that you find worth drinking. Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
That was great.
Thank you. You guys have a good one. You too. Bye-bye.
Please rate and subscribe to List Rate Rank on Apple, Google, Spotify, or YouTube, and find our bonus content on listraterank.com. Follow @ListRateRank on Twitter and Instagram, like List Rate Rank on Facebook, and join our Facebook group to get in on the fun. Thank you for listening to List Rate Rank.
And many more.
You did kick my ass 12-3 on this episode, so I'm not too happy about that.
I have been through more adversity than you, for sure.
It's clearly evident. But what I don't understand is with all of his suck it up and deal with it from his dad and from his own teachings, he listed get over it as number 5. I was like, oh, I thought I was going to win. I thought I was going to win. And he's like, nope, that's the worst. I'm like, what?